Oh, I should. I have a poem about that, but I won't be reading from it. And thank y'all for being here. Thank you to those who are viewing from home. Thank you to Robbie Howell. He's the third one of us who would be here, but his heroic wife gave birth to twins during the pandemic, so I think that's his excuse for not being here. I'll just get started. Nothing old under the sun. No prunes, no raisins, no missing buttons, no antique bowl, no bottled vintage, no need any longer to appeal one's way into a dying uncle's will, no doddering, no dotage, fewer experts droning on, little to no mastery, too much blonde hair, one alabaster tooth too many, skin too firm, cheeks too rejuvenate, every night an opening, every moon a crescent. Gym nostalgia. I miss the junkyard of weight machines, instructions smudged, hinges squeaky, that only the top-knotted, tattooed behemoths with their pectoral bulges ballooning and veiny knew how to use. I miss the grunting of each wide-swung mallet. I miss my mat, chewed up and sweat-stained, where I'd sit where I'd stood and stand where I'd sat. Am I like doing it too far up or too far down? Like, are we good? Is this right? Okay. Chickening out. When the party called for feathers, beaks, I felt too weak to see his coxcomb next to her hen's gray bonnet. At home, I poured my feelings a glass the way a better poet might pour his into a sonnet. To go, to dance, to be shoulder to shoulder, that's what I wanted. But my toes were trapped in crucifixes. I was that kind of chicken. Humankind needs larger birds. Humankind needs larger birds. Red-tailed hawks scaled up to pterodactyl proportions, 12-story great white egrets, spear-sharp bills puncturing our roofs like giant stilettos. A helicopter hummingbird or two always hovering, thirsty for us to make just one wrong move. We need more natural predators to humble us into greater regret, more meaningful action. We share too little of the terrestrial burden that camels, mules, and antelope bear. Let the crow outgrow our bomber planes. Let the great horned owl outsmart us. And let them be, as we are, locked doors unto themselves, their hearts grand ballrooms of sinew and mystery, their brains locomotive engines of synapse, and being their own worst enemy. This is called Ode to Justice, and it's in memory, I'm sad to say, of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm not sad that I wrote a poem about her, I'm just sad that she's dead. Just wanted to be clear about that. Again last night, as I watched the vigilant mourners crowd the stone steps of the Temple of Justice, I recalled the way that snowfall rounded the corners of Bush's White House, Jefferson's lustrous memorial, the Capitol, monument and tenement alike, December's cherry trees sparse, except if snow can be said to rhyme with pale blossom leaves drifting in descent of a distinctly Grecian view of history, that all the past can do to us is rhyme. Chained as we are like captives to the toothed wheel that turns the bigger wheel that mines the emperor's salary. Why write? Why hold a pen so trivial that it can't unslave the slaves, unmarch the Jews from camps, unmurder women, unpersecute the queer, the brown, the deaf, the endless poor, and the dead who die a daily death? It is what it is, my husband used to say, his boot against my neck. What could I say but, sure. Naturally, men do what they want. If it is not their desire, it isn't nature's, laws, or God's. Ruthlessly, they, we, I pursue a firmer purchase on the slopes, bourgeois peaks of power, Mont Blanc, Everest, K2, satellites in orbit, Jupiter's moons. Though, to hear them tell it, uneasy lies the hand that wags the puppet's strings. Such work it is, ruining a country, as if Looney Tunes proofread their speeches. Madness enfranchises nobody but itself and dares to call it work. First time in D.C., first time to feel tipsy on the depths of my own, what to call it, ignorance. All I thought I knew turned from Arctic blizzard to a storm that fit inside the twin turrets of the salt and pepper shakers I'd bring back to my mother. Amused, I'm sure, at my provincial awe, a history teacher from a neighboring city down south kindly showed me Lincoln's statue and the infinite names on the Vietnam Memorial and led me to believe there reigned in robes a jury, their columned courthouse fit for any monarch, sacred, yet flesh and blood, psychic, though blind. I'll never forget what, with each new landmark, those ad hoc history lessons ignited in my mind. The way, for example, that home geography may starve a culture or make it innovation rich. How time rewards the sufferer's granddaughters with eagle-eyed husbands skilled in weaponry and dogs bred to sniff and root out sables, which are cute but yield the most luxurious furs.
Woo!
I thought this was going to be completely different from like a Zoom meeting, but it's actually a lot like it. Just speaking into the void. Unknown caller. Do I remember you? No. I'm drawing nothing but blanks. Maybe we fucked and I got my nut and then I smoked a joint while you joined the ranks of the shades in Dante's Inferno. Have a seat. You might as well. Because while I'm cutting these verses and rhyming these tercets, your ass is roasting in hell. The house down under, the wonderful land of Oz. Tell Dorothy and Toto I'll call them tomorrow, but you're a subjunctive clause. You don't stand alone. You definitely don't stand out. Memories align up and ding, your time's up, beyond all reasonable doubt. Charged with being forgettable, booked, indicted, arraigned. I walked miles in those shoes, then what did I do? I sought less rocky terrain, went barefoot on the grass. Some call it childish, but I get better mileage. Rent space in my brain? Fork over the cash. Okay, so now I'm in this part where actually Eduardo was saying today that like in the middle of the pandemic and the quarantine, he couldn't really do lyric poetry anymore, so he started reading novels instead. And that made a lot of sense to me, except instead of, for me, I went sort of the opposite direction, and like all I can write are what I think of as epigrams, like very short, kind of like rhyming poems. So these will go by quickly, I think. One's own skin. Nobody likes a too superior outfit. As soon as compliments pour in for the contoured face, the sculpted hips, the way the voice seems lighter and less grating, one is left feeling a touch resentful of one's work, discovering that fashion can be too successful a bluff, or at least not unsuccessful enough. Love. Eye roll, right? All you want is hummingbirds darting by in increments of boldness so small they seem shy. Some free, while others take investments in nectar. It's like what my grandpa used to do to debt collectors when they called. They were so appalled he seemed so cheery, so eager to talk, until it became clear he hadn't had the faintest clue in years. Is Michelle Burke here? Well, she's at home watching, I'm sure. I made a comment on one of Michelle Burke, she was a student in the program, on her Facebook, and she did that thing I love when people do. They're like, oh, that's the start of a poem. You know, like it's almost like just like this impromptu assignment. So I don't think I can get it published anywhere since I wrote the first half of it on Facebook, but I'll share it with you. It's called Joy. I'll take any joy I can get these days. Fake, frivolous, aspartame joy, designer imposter joy, zero-calorie joy. What good is prophecy if it does not bring joy? So many prophets of doom among us. I've been one. It was easy. Not all of us are here to tell you how much worse it is going to get. So what if joy clashes with the topography of what you call reality? What's your address? I'll send you a globe that raises the mountains of joy to your fingertips. You can touch it all day if you want to. You can touch it as often as you want. It's yours. Fingers. Not like chicken fingers, but like actual fingers. When not typing, deleting. When not tweeting, snapping. When not rapidly, uninterruptedly drumming, thumbing something more addictive like butts or buttons. Over and over, exfoliating the skin, rubbing the knuckles raw until the bones protrude, all chalky with white rust, and then worrying the chalk to dust. I was like stifling a burp during that long pause, but I kind of liked it. I think I might keep it. Full-time flamingo. They ask where I work, and I tell them, I work in the crevices of dullness, small corners of the day carved out to go berserk, in an explosion of rose petal ink, a cascade of pink plumage. They ask where I live, and I tell them, I live where I work. Are y'all ready for a joke? What did the Italian sonnet say to the English? It's literally crickets. I think that's funny. That's not the joke. What did the Italian sonnet say to the English? You don't stand a chance against me. I know, it's like a Petrarchan sonnet joke. I thought this was the right crowd. Moonset. No one thinks of me. Update for the Alumni magazine, year 10. Today, I let a college football player come on my face. He lived in a fratty house with two of his teammates. It was filthy and directly across from the movie theater, which bothered me. And his cum tasted like he'd had a pack of cigarettes and a pint of gasoline for breakfast. He was sweet and gentle with me. He smiled a lot, revealing a little gap between his front teeth. A kitten mewed at his bedroom door while we fucked, and when he opened the door, it ran in and began sniffing my underwear on the floor. This guy's name, I'm not kidding, was Crockett. He told me the kitten's name, but I forgot it. My mom's gonna watch this, and I know. It's fiction. Well, it's poetry, which is even more fictional, right? All right, gin. The G in anger is all tongue and guts, a wag and a grab, a gun going off. The G in danger is gin and tonic, a gesture of the jaw, tragedy sinking in. Bitterness. You nod when I say, I like bitter more than sweet. And I can't take it back then, can I? I can't say bitter is better and then fetter myself to sweetness. I can't pray to the goddess of nectar while sacrificing my children to the god of rotting meat, can I? Can I say a man is cretinous when I've never set foot on Crete? It's always reassuring when people laugh at the things that you mean seriously and then are completely silent during your jokes. All right, I just have 2 more. This is walking home from surgery. A small procedure, nothing serious, but the stitches were sutured in such an awkward spot that the nurse had to steady the gauze with so many oversized bandages that now I look like I've been treated for a gunshot wound to the head. "You'll be mildly sedated," she said. "Don't you have anyone to drive you?" Drive me home, she meant. Not up a wall, not insane, not like a nail straight through the planks of living alone with my mistakes. I lied. There were 3 more, but the last one's really short. All right, absent healing. Every time the sun sets in Houston, pollution from nearby refineries and endless freeways turns my whole world the color I would paint your eyelids if I could touch them now and you would let me. I'd use an angled brush dusted in the palette I love, the one with colors called shock and switch, chaos and gravity. I recall the time we drove west on Westheimer and the sky was a jolting blend of slow burn and savage. And to the tune of some song I'm desperate now to remember, our hands met, we held on, and later we laughed at how cliched it seemed from a distance, the fluorescent portrait of intimacy. There is the expression to laugh so hard you cry, which is what I wish I could make you do now. Snap you into laughter that lasts and lasts, past the limits of how badly the world can shock us. Although we both know that once it begins, a man can cry all night. I feel like I forgot to thank everybody. Did I do that? Did I thank everybody? Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all of this. And thank you to the new editors for allowing us to do this. The plan was to do it in April and, I don't know, they didn't want us to or something. Okay. Visiting hours. I'm like, I don't want to leave. I don't know why it's scary to come up here, but it's like even scarier to leave. Okay. Visiting hours. Visiting hours. The hardest part is leaving when you know you leave a freezing man in feet of snow. Thank you.